Chapter 1. A Night Too Quiet. It wasn't the blood that scared me most. It was the smile she wore when she turned to me. That night in Lagos was hotter than usual, the kind of heat that clings to your skin and makes it hard to breathe. Nipia had done its usual disappearing act, leaving Tunde's room dark except for the weak flickering light of a single candle. The three of us, Tunde, Amaka, and I, sat in silence, sweating and swatting at the occasional mosquito. Tunde fiddled with an old flashlight, its beam flickering uselessly. Amaka leaned against the wall, scrolling on her phone until the battery died. I was perched on a low stool near the window, watching the darkened street outside. "I can't do this anymore," Amaka said suddenly, breaking the oppressive silence. "Let's do something fun." "Fun? Like what?" Tunde asked, not looking up. Amaka grinned, her white teeth flashing in the dim light. "Something scary." The word hung in the air, making the shadows on the walls seem darker. "Scary? As in what? Ghost stories?" I asked. "Something better. Have you heard of Bloody Mary?" I froze. The name sent an uneasy shiver through me. Tunde scoffed. "That Oyinbo nonsense? Why would we call a white person's ghost when we have enough of our own?" Amaka leaned in, her voice low and teasing. "Let's see if she dares to show up in Africa." I wanted to say no, but the challenge in her eyes made it hard to refuse. Chapter 2. Preparing the Ritual. Amaka explained the ritual like she'd done it 100 times. We need a mirror, a candle, and, well, courage. Tunde laughed nervously. "Courage? You're acting like something will actually happen." Still, we gathered the items. Tunde's wardrobe mirror was old, its surface streaked with grime. We dragged it into the center of the room and placed a single candle in front of it. The flickering flame cast long, twisting shadows that seemed alive. "Are you sure about this?" I asked, my voice shaky. Amaka shrugged. "If it's just a story, what's the harm? Unless you're scared." "I'm not scared," I lied, glancing at the mirror. Its reflection seemed distorted, as though the glass was breathing. "Let's just get this over with," Tunde said, standing beside us. We stood shoulder to shoulder, staring at our wavering reflections. The air felt heavier, thicker, as if the room itself was holding its breath. "On the count of 3, Amaka said. "1, Amaka whispered, her voice steady. 2, Tunde said, though his voice cracked. 3, I finished. We spoke the name together, Bloody Mary. The room seemed colder, though the candle's flame didn't waver. "Bloody Mary," we said again, louder. The shadows on the walls shifted, their movements unnatural. I glanced at the mirror and thought I saw something, a flicker of motion just behind us. "Bloody Mary," we said a final time. Silence. Nothing happened at first. The room felt unnaturally still, as though time itself had paused. Then the candle's flame flickered violently and went out, plunging us into darkness. "Tunde? Amaka?" I whispered, panic creeping into my voice. No one answered. Chapter 4. The Mirror Stirs. The darkness was absolute, the kind that made you doubt your own existence. I felt Amaka's hand grip my arm, her nails digging into my skin. "Do you hear that?" she whispered. At first I didn't, then it came, a soft, wet sound, like something dripping onto the floor. My eyes adjusted to the faint glow of moonlight streaming through the window. I turned toward the mirror, and that's when I saw her. She was faint at first, just a shadow in the glass. But as I stared, her form became clearer. Her hair hung in tangled wet clumps, and her eyes were hollow black pits. Her skin was pale, almost translucent, and her smile stretched unnaturally wide, exposing jagged, broken teeth. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. "Run!" Amaka shouted, pulling me back. The mirror cracked with a deafening noise, lines spreading across its surface like veins. Bloody Mary slammed her hand against the glass from the other side, her long nails scraping against it. We stumbled backward, Tunde falling to the floor with a cry. The sound of shattering glass filled the room as Bloody Mary began to crawl through the broken mirror. Her movements were unnatural, her limbs bending at impossible angles. The smell of decay filled the room, so strong it made me gag. I grabbed Tunde's arm and tried to pull him up, but he was frozen, his eyes wide with terror. Amaka screamed, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Move!" she yelled. We bolted for the door, dragging Tunde with us. Behind us, Bloody Mary's laughter echoed, a low, guttural sound that made my skin crawl. We burst into the narrow hallway, slamming the door behind us. Tunde collapsed onto the floor, clutching his chest. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice trembling. He didn't answer. When I lifted his shirt, I saw 3 deep, bloody claw marks raked across his chest. "What is happening?" Amaka whispered, tears streaming down her face. From inside the room, we heard it again, her laughter. It was closer this time, as though she were just behind the door. "She's still here," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Chapter 7: The Aftermath. The days that followed were worse than the night itself. Tunde's wounds refused to heal, the claw marks becoming swollen and infected despite every treatment we tried. Amaka stopped answering calls, retreating into herself, and then there were the mirrors. Every reflective surface seemed alive. Shadows moved where they shouldn't, and at night I would catch glimpses of her, Bloody Mary, smiling at me from the corner of a mirror or the reflection in a dark window. One evening, I heard Amaka's voice on the phone, trembling with fear. "She's still here," she said. "She's everywhere." Chapter 8: The Final Haunting. One night, unable to sleep, I found myself staring at the reflection in my bedroom window. The street outside was dark, but in the glass, I saw her. She wasn't just watching, she was closer now, her face pressed against the inside of the glass. Her smile widened and her hand reached out, pressing against the reflection as though trying to break through. I stumbled back, my heart racing. And then I heard her voice, low and raspy, like the whisper of death itself. "You called me." The lights flickered, and for a moment I thought I saw her standing behind me. Now, every night, I wait. I know she's coming, and I know it's only a matter of time before she drags me into the mirror with her.